Hi, this is HGAC, a show where I sometimes make video responses to some perhaps misconception, not quite in time, or perspective out of the era where things was happening. I'm talking about how Gundam Wing is definitely not meh in Japan. Gundam Wing, as a follow up to G Gundam, where Mobile Fighter G Gundam put Gundam back into mainstream, Gundam Wing is the series that solidifies Gundam being relevant despite being 25 years old at that point. It's a series that goes back to Gundam's roots with a bit of extra 90s flair in it, which proved that Gundam isn't just a show about robots that I'm really fond of, but also the characters. Now, I make this video specifically because there are a few points I want to talk about, in my support that no, Gundam Wing is not meh in Japan. If anything, it was the biggest thing of the biggest success of the Gundam franchise ever since the first Gundam. First point I want to make is that the first opening theme song, Just Communication, has a higher chart ranking than Evangelion's A Cruel Angel's Thesis. The latter will be known as the most influential anime song. Maybe one of, but definitely will be in the top 10 or top 5 list or even top 3 list easily. However, Takashi Yoko, when she performs A Cruel Angel's Thesis, was quite an established pop singer at that point. Not quite the queen that she is today, but she has proven herself. On the other hand, Just Communication by 2max is their debut single. This is their first real commercial song going out, and it outperforms the Cruel Angel's Thesis in the charts. A Cruel Angel's Thesis doesn't really gain popularity until the movie release, whereas Just Communication just stay popular even after more song is written, performed by 2max with Gundam Wing. Just Communication is just this one song. Like when people make memes about image that you can hear, yeah, Just Communication is definitely one of those memes. This is point one. Point two, Gundam Wing's popularity leads to a short series of 3 episodes of TV special known as the Endless Waltz. At the time, it's just a TV special that airs, throughout the weeks for Christmas. However, it's so popular that Bandai have a theatrical edit of it with very little extra work, and even have to throw in a bit of a 08 MS team recap to fill up the runtime, for a theatrical release. But this is a Gundam theatrical re-release, like a Gundam theatrical edit, not seen for decades. Yeah, the first Gundam was kinda cut short, and then with the theatrical release, there are some bits that drop and some bits that added. But ever since then, you get Gundam TV series and then you get Gundam movies. A few of the only in videos release. The OVAs got their theatrical cuts, but not for a TV series, let alone a TV special that is just there to fill up the holiday slots. If this point 2 does not tell you Gundam Wing is not made in Japan, that's okay. I have a third point. Wing Zero Custom, the Endless Wars version of Wing Gundam Zero, has its perfect grade release before the master grade. The perfect grade was a new line that Bandai created for a bigger scale Gundam model with even more details than the master grade. Now, the Wing Zero Custom perfect grade was released in the 2000s, and 25 years later, it might look a bit outdated, but it speaks the importance of Gundam Wing in the whole Gundam franchise. And finally, we get to these guys. On my right is a Tallgeese 2 in Gundam Universe, and on my left is a HGAC Leo. I have a dedicated video for the HGAC Leo, but the short recap of it is the HGAC Leo is the grandfather or granddaddy of the 30mm lineup. It is also the granddaddy of a lot of modern Gundam kits. The C-clip that some people dread a lot is used extensively on this Leo, and a lot of the articulations and attachment methods are also employed on this Leo. In fact, it is part of an anniversary project that involved the Unicorn Gundam, Zeta Gundam, and Crossbone Gundam. Among all those Gundams, there is Leo from Gundam Wing. This is Tallgeese 2 from the Gundam Universe line. Until the recent revitalization, probably to meet the demand of Gundam merch, Gundam Universe is kind of a dead on arrival line that is meant to be a successor of Mobile Suit in Action, which also met its end somewhere in the late 2000s. Ironically enough, because Bandai was pumping out Gunpla kits, and because they pump out enough Gunpla kits, it kind of tanked the sales of the action figures. Anyways, yeah, before the recent revitalization, Bandai have to make the Tallgeese 2. A very late addition in the series, only appears near the end, where Tries use it to lead an army of Leos to represent the Earth Alliance against the mobile dolls. And aside from the original 1 to 144 release, it is mostly premium Bandai releases. But for the Gundam Universe, they make some new sculpts from the Tallgeese, which I also have a video on, and release the Tallgeese 2. And spoiler alert, I might get around to make a dedicated video for it, but spoiler alert, I think this is a much better pick than the Tallgeese, and is probably the most accessible Tallgeese 2. So yeah, at least within the Gundam fandom, or at least within the Mecha fandom of circles, Gundam Wing is not meh. Gundam Wing is this 90s staple of new generations of Gundams that have some people think the 2000s Gundams are kinda slacking behind. Like in the 90s, we get some rather revolutionary new looks for Gundams, and then at the turn of the 2000s, we got a series that looks heck of a lot like the 1 Year War. Now, of course, they quickly course correct into Gundam 00, which is another very successful new entry in Gundam that, surprise to no one, is heavily influenced by Gundam Wing. Gundam Wing is not made in Japan. Gundam Wing is probably the most influential Gundam after the original Gundam, and probably Zeta Gundam, because Zeta Gundam breaks the mold for Gundam looking robots. Thanks for watching. See you next time. And Gaijin Goomba, I love you a lot, but please, maybe you were just making a title for the clicks. But no, with that title, I cannot watch that video because it's not true at all.